how do you deploy a Laravel project to cPanel? For those people that make use of cPanel, you don't use cloud hosting, you're making use of shared hosting on cPanel, and you want a continuous deployment on your Laravel project. That's in the sense that when as you make updates to your local system, your update is being deployed immediately to the server. Now, this can be done using continuous integration and continuous deployment. You can make use of GitHub Actions workflow to streamline this deployment. So I have a static, I have a fresh Laravel project here. I can see I just created this new Laravel project. It's nothing has been done on it, and you can see the project here, and I've pushed this project to my GitHub. Nothing has been added, just the project on GitHub. Now what we want to do now is to deploy this project on a server on my cPanel hosting. I want to deploy this project on my cPanel hosting now, but before then, you guys need to understand how deployment is going to take place. Now we are going to make use of GitHub Actions workflow, and the simplest way to do that is you can go on GitHub on the repository. You can go to Actions. If you go on GitHub Actions and you create a workflow, I created this earlier, but I've removed that. Yeah. So you can go on Actions, and if you go on GitHub Actions, you are going to see, for example, this repository is Laravel, so you can see where to configure Laravel workflow for GitHub Actions. Now, if you click on this configure, GitHub is going to give you a starter template for your workflow, a YAML file. You can see this particular file is created in .github/workflow then / the file name .yml. So what this does is that this is the starter template. What it does is that it checks on any push to the main branch or on any pull request to the main branch, and then it does whatever thing that is specified here. Now, once you make a push to main branch or a pull to main branch, what the GitHub workflow does is that it will, first of all, the first thing that happens here is it checks if .env exists. If not, it copies value of env example and pastes into a .env file. It creates a .env file and do the normal copying of env example, and then it runs composer install, artisan key generates, and so on, does every necessary thing. Now you can add more things to your workflow. If you need PHP artisan tests also, you can add more things to your workflow. Now, but then I'm going to be giving you guys a starter template that you can make use of that has everything necessary you need to use. Now, another way you can do this is if you don't want to come on GitHub Actions, right? Let's cancel this. If you don't want to come on GitHub Actions, you can also come here on our project and we can create the folder ourselves. .github folder, you can see. Then inside there you can create another folder called workflows, right? Workflows, and inside the workflows you can now create your laravel.yml, or I might prefer to call mine deploy.yml, since we are going to be deploying this to the server. Now, this is where we are going to write our YAML file that is going to deploy our server to cPanel. Now, all right, so I have a starter template here, which I normally use for my integration when it comes to Laravel projects. Now, I'm going to explain this workflow for you and walk you guys through how you can create something like this for yourself. Now, you can name this anything. I named my continuous integration, and let's name it continuous integration and deployment. Continuous integration and deployment. Now, what this does now is on every push to main, if your project is a project that you work with other persons and you are going to be making pull requests from other branches, you can also specify on every pull request to different branch. And also you can pass in more than one branches here also as an array, different branch. If you want to run this workflow on every push to different branch, on every pull request to different branch, you can also do that. Now, our main branch, once on every push to our main branch, what it does is, the first thing it does is to, first of all, we are setting up our database, right? I don't have a database on this project, so I can choose to remove this. I can choose to remove anything that has to do with database here, since I don't have a database. So sorry, remove that. Then we come here, we set up our SQL, our PHP version. Now, one thing you might want to make sure of is that this PHP version corresponds with your local PHP version, which is the PHP version on your Composer log file, right? Or Composer, the PHP version you have here. You can see I have version 8.1 here. So one thing you want to do is to make sure that your PHP version on the workflow corresponds with the version on your Composer logs file. So we are going to make use of 8.1 here also. Now, next thing to do now is to run Composer install. Right now, if your project is making use of node modules, if you are writing a full stack Laravel development, and you have front end assets also that you need to work on, you can also add this npm install and some other things. Now, I don't need npm install because my project does not make use of this. Is just a starter Laravel project, so I don't need to install node or anything. Now, the next thing is to you can clear your config and catch normal Laravel. For here, I'm doing artisan config clear, catch clear, route clear, and optimize, and so on. Then this is just a sample. You can write as many as you like. You can just do PHP artisan optimize as you wish. Then you set the folder directory permission, because you need to grant permission to the bootstrap folder, right? So after that, then I don't need this installing of node because I'm not writing any React. I'm not writing this Laravel with React, so I don't need all this setup. But in case if you are using a front-end asset and you need all this, you can also run all this way. You install Node.js, the dependencies, and the rest of them. You build your front-end assets and so on. So I'm going to be removing all this and go straight to deployment to server. Now, after running all this, you can decide to also add PHP artisan tests. You can also run tests in case if you are writing tests in your code. This is just a template, so I'm explaining to you guys how this can work. So now the next is to deploy to server. Now, deploying to server, we need to specify we need this, and then specify the server name, right, the username and password. Now, these details are what I'm going to explain to you how you can get them. Now, in deploying to server, we need to specify the server name, the password, the server, the username, and the password. Now, we are making use of FTP accounts to do this. We are to get your FTP details. If you are on cPanel, the easiest way to do this is if you go to your cPanel, right? You can go to your cPanel, scroll down to File Manager in your cPanel, and then when you get to File Manager in your cPanel, you're going to find most of the times you will see FTP in your File Manager. You can see this FTP account. Now, many cPanel comes with this feature. Not all cPanel access. It depends on the kind of cPanel that you are using, but the kind of hosting you are using. So you can contact your hosting provider if you need FTP access, if your cPanel does not have FTP access. But most cPanel come with FTP access. Some of them also have SSH access. You can also connect to cPanel using SSH, but we are going to make use of FTP. So when you click on the FTP account in your cPanel, now you're going to find where you can create an FTP account. Now, I'm going to just do this for testing purpose. Now, let's create an FTP account. So let's say tests at, then our domain. You select the domain for that FTP account. So this is our domain. Then you set a password. So let me say, don't worry, you don't need to try this password because I'm definitely going to delete it after this video. So I'll choose to use password generator. Yeah, let me use a password generator, and then you can make use of that password. I've copied the password. Let's paste it here so we'll not forget that. So I'll delete this FTP account after this video, so it doesn't really matter. Now after this, you can set quota. I prefer to leave it to unlimited, and then my directory, you can see the directory for my account, right? I want to set the directory to let's say test FTP is what I want to use, and then I create FTP account, right? Now this is my FTP account, tests at Oracle. The login now is test at oracles.ng. The path is, you can see the path here. Then we have our password. Now what you want to do now is you specify the server here, which is going to be ftp.oracles.ng. Then you specify the password, which is password we created. So now you cannot, because we are pushing this to GitHub, you can't push secret keys like this, secret values like this to GitHub page. So it's best to create a secret on your GitHub. If you don't know how to create secret on your GitHub, you can just go to GitHub. If you navigate to the settings aspect of your GitHub, you would see secrets and variables. Now under secrets and variables, click on actions, right? Then you can create GitHub action secrets. So just click on new repository secret like this. I can create a new repository secret, and then I'll have my FTP server, FTP username and password. FTP username is what I want to create. So here you can have FTP. Let's start with the password, FTP password, and I paste that my password I generated, right, which is this password, right? So FTP password, you set that. Now you can also, if you want to add your other FTP details, you can choose to write the username and server here. That one is not something that should be much of a secret. So you can add the FTP username, right? And my username is test at oracles.ng, right? I add a secret. Then you can also specify the FTP server, just like we have here. FTP server, which in my case is ftp.oracles.ng, right? Now that I've specified my secrets, now I can, the server directory for this, we are going to push this to the test directory from what I specified here, right? Let's push this to test FTP. So I'm going to push this to the test directory like this, right, if I'm not mistaken. So let's test this out. Now we can commit these changes to our GitHub, and now let's commit our changes. And push to GitHub, and then we'll see how far. So now if you push to GitHub, you can now see now that your deployment, your workflow file is now processing, is now running the code in your workflow. So let's check it out. If you click on it, you go to details, and then set up job, initialize container, right? Now you can see that we have an error here. Our workflow failed, and according to what is written here, it says your log file does not contain a compatible set of packages. Please run composer updates. Now I'm making use of this, is mostly due to the PHP version, right? The PHP version you are running on your log file, right? And My PHP version is 8.2. I don't know. Yeah, so let's see this, if this would fix that for us. So this test failed. Now I've made another push, meaning another test is going to run. If you check your commit history, you would see the different commits and the test for each of them. You see that the last one we did, the test failed. You can check what exactly made the test to fail. Now let's check this one, the one we just made right now, and see if it's going to pass. So the setup is running. All right, so now you can see that our our dependencies was installed correctly. Now the PHP version is correct now. Now we are having issue with config clear. Okay, database. What we're going to do now is we are going to, let's remove this catch clear. Let's remove this catch clear and just leave our config and route clear, right? So we can do this. We can clear config and the route, then deploy straight to our server. So when we push these updates, you can see now that the last two failed, and this is the one we just pushed now. So okay, so this might take a while, and once that is done, okay, checked out successfully, installing dependencies successfully. All right, so we've cleared that part. Now the issue we're having now is, okay, the server directory folder must end with slash. Okay, so we must end this with slash, but I think we should just, let's do it this way. Right, let me deploy it to the main directory. Come in. Let's do it this way. Right. So let's deploy this to the root folder of that directory, of that stuff. So let's do it like that and see. Now we've made three different push and three of them failed. Until we're able to get the actual one that is going to pass. So we'll run this again, and you can see now that now one thing you should know is that once it starts deploying to the server on the cPanel here, where we have our, if you go to your file manager where you have your FTP server as a test, I think it's located in here. You can see it here, test FTP. So this is where it is located, right? So so when you go to the test FTP here, this is where our file should enter. Everything we are deploying should be entering inside here. So let's see how far that has gone. Okay, now it's deploying to server. Let me close up the other one so you can see it properly. So now in the deploying to server, you can see that it's creating the folders on our server. This can take a while. Let's go to the beginning of where it started from. So it started by creating each of the folders one by one on the server, and then upload everything that needs to be uploaded on those folders, right? So once the deployment is done, you would see all the file. If you reload this, you'll see that the files have started entering here. You can see that, right? We're now having our files inside of here. Now once it's done uploading, now the good thing about this deployment is that as you make your changes, once you make a change on your project and then you deploy that, you push to GitHub, automatically your change is being synchronized with the server. As long as this workflow runs, your change is being deployed to the server, to the cPanel server. Yeah, but then you don't need to worry about re-uploading those files. It does not re-upload the file, because once this is done, we are going to have a file here. It's going to automatically create a file there that stores the progress of the deployment, that stores the state of the deployment, so that next time it's deploying again, it knows the file that has been deployed, and then it only deploys the changes. So it will not take time. The first time normally takes time because the file is large, it uploads everything, right? But the second time, when you'll be doing this again the next time, what you'll just be doing is your changes will just be deployed by itself. It will not redeploy those changes again. Now I just remember there's something we forgot to do on this server. We forgot to copy the value of .env. That's another thing. We skipped the .env. We are going to fix that, because currently if you deploy this to the server now, we are going to have error, because there is not going to find .env unless you decide to now create .env manually by yourself, right? So let's see. We can decide to create .env by ourselves on the server after it has deployed, and then do the right thing, copy your .env and paste there, right? All right, now the deployment is successful. We have successfully deployed to the server. So you can see everything now passes. Our deployment passed, right? And now we can have our website online. So what I did now is, now for us to test what we've deployed so far, I created a new FTP account, right? I deleted the one we created before. So what I did now is I created a subdomain, test.oracles.ng, and then I created an FTP account for that subdomain, right? So instead of the one we did before that had, it was uploaded to a folder separate from the entire panel. So I created a subdomain now, and the path is now the path to that subdomain, right? So now if you check the folder structure, you'll see our subdomain here. So inside the subdomain is where the file is uploaded, right? So the file we've uploaded is inside that subdomain, because we are using the subdomain's path, right? The same thing we did before, just that I had to go and create a subdomain so that we can view, so that when we go to the test.oracles.ng, we can view it. Right now this is not going to come up properly for us. Yeah, it's not going to come up properly for us, and we are going to come to that. Now first of all, the deployment state, you can see that the FTP deploy synchronized state has been created for us, which shows the state of our deployment, right? And with this, the pipeline can tell what has been deployed, what has been synchronized, so that when you are deploying again, it's not going to start re-uploading. So what we are going to do now is, we are going to, let's edit our workflow. I edited this workflow now, and we've added this particular stuff. So I need it to copy the value of env.example and put inside a .env file, right? Because currently, if you check what we have on our server, there is no .env file. We have to start creating .env manually and then pasting that .env. So now, not to do that, we can decide to add this so that it can do it for us when deploying, and then run key generate, artisan key generate, to generate the key for us, right? So this is just all I've added now. So we are going to push this code. Let's push this code. This time around, the deployment is going to be faster, because it's now the state of deployment has been stored, right? So it's not going to start deployment afresh again. It's going to just only synchronize the ones that are not existent on the server. So initializing container. So by the time we are done, we'll still have to point our website to the public directory with htaccess. I'm going to walk you guys through the whole process, and once we are done with all this, you will now see that our website can now be live on test.oracles.ng, and then as you make changes, you can view your changes on your website without having to re-upload any file. It just deploys by itself once you push to GitHub. As simple as that. So you can see now it successfully copied env, right? And now file content is same for a lot of places. Now deploying to server has been done. That's how fast it runs. So we successfully synchronized our file. Now if I reload what we have here, you can see now that we have a .env file here. You can see that now, but still when you enter the website, you still can't access it yet, and that's because it's not yet pointing us to our public, which has our index. In Laravel, the Laravel website is being served from the public, and if you check your Laravel projects, in the public folder there is a .htaccess here, right? Now this is meant to be public folder, but now we need to add an htaccess folder here that points our website to this public folder on the cPanel. So we are going to do that now. So what you do now is we are going to create a .htaccess file, right? You create .htaccess in the root of that folder directory. So we'll create .htaccess here, right? I'm going to edit this now, and then we paste this. You add this to your .htaccess. You can see that it's going to redirect the whoever request to the public folder. So I'm going to add this. I'm going to add this content of this .htaccess to the GitHub repo, so that you guys can you can see the file in the .htaccess. You can just copy and paste this, and when you save it now we can try to access our website, and you can now see that we can now access our website on tests.oracles.ng. Now we're having database part does not exist. That's because our database.sqlite is omitted from Git repo. You can see that we have git ignore, and is omitting the SQLite database. So all you need to do is you can go to your env on the server. To fix that, you can go to env on the server and set up a database connection. You understand? Currently, database is set to SQLite by default, right? Now all you can do is you can go to the server. When you create a database on your cPanel, you can connect your database. If it's MySQL you are using, you connect to MySQL database, right? And once you've done that, your website should be up and running on this route. So you can see now we can access our website on this route. Now I can choose to remove this from git ignore, but I don't think it's advisable. Or you can just get this file, find a way to publish your database yourself, right, on the cPanel. Right, you can also do that on your deployment workflow. You can also connect a database on deployment workflow. Then you can be able to access the website on your server directly after pushing to GitHub. Your changes is being deployed immediately. So this way you can implement continuous deployment and continuous integration on your Laravel application to cPanel. So once you are writing code on your VS Code, you push to GitHub, automatically is being deployed to your server without stress. So thank you guys for watching the video. I'll see you guys next time.